My name is Carla Mitchell, and I'm 38 years old. 6 months ago, I lost my 12-year-old daughter Emma to leukemia. But her death wasn't the only tragedy. It was the betrayal by those who should have loved us most that nearly destroyed me. My parents refused to help when Emma was dying. My ex-husband, now a millionaire CEO, laughed at my struggles and called me just a poor writer. After Emma passed, I came within seconds of ending it all. But 1 week later, a knock on my door changed everything. What I discovered about my family's secrets and my daughter's final act of love shocked everyone, especially those who had abandoned us. Before I share what happened at that will reading, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story truly resonates with you. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. It helps me feel less alone, knowing people around the world are listening. This story begins 14 months ago, when 3 words shattered our world. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. The doctor's office smelled like disinfectant and fear. Emma sat beside me, still in her school uniform, swinging her legs that didn't quite touch the floor. Dr. Harrison's face told me everything before he spoke. Mrs. Mitchell, Emma's blood work shows abnormalities consistent with all. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. The room tilted. Emma's hand found mine, and somehow my 12-year-old was comforting me. That's who she was, brave beyond her years. The treatment plan Dr. Harrison outlined might as well have been in another language. Chemotherapy, bone marrow tests, hospital stays. But one phrase cut through clear as glass. We need to start immediately. How much? I asked, my freelance writer's brain already calculating. With insurance, you're looking at 20 to 30,000 out of pocket initially. Could go higher depending on complications. Insurance. The word mocked me. My basic plan through the Writers Guild covered maybe 60%. The rest? I made 40,000 a year on a good year. This wasn't a good year. That night, after tucking Emma into bed, I sat at my kitchen table with bills spread like tarot cards predicting disaster. Mortgage, behind by 1 month. Credit cards, maxed from last year when the car died. Savings, $800. Emma needed treatment starting Monday. Lily and Noah, 8 and 6, needed care while I'd be at the hospital. They needed food, school supplies, normalcy while their sister fought for her life. The math didn't work. It would never work. I stared at my phone. 2 contacts glowed like exit signs. Mom and Dad, and Robert, do not call. Sometimes you have to swallow your pride to save your child. I just didn't know that pride would be the least of what I'd lose. I called Mom first. It was 9 p.m., late enough that Dad would be watching his shows, early enough that Mom would answer. Carla, it's rather late. No hello, no how are you. Just reproach, as always. Mom, Emma's sick. She has leukemia. Silence. Then, oh, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Like a rained-out picnic. I need help, Mom. Can you and Dad watch Lily and Noah while I'm at the hospital with Emma? Just for a few weeks while we start treatment? We're leaving for Florida tomorrow, the cruise we booked months ago. Mom, please. Emma could die. Don't be dramatic, Carla. Children recover from these things all the time. I heard Dad's voice in the background. Mom covered the phone, muffled conversation, then returned. Your father says this is what happens when you divorce a good provider. You made your bed when you left Robert. Deal with it. The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, trying to process what just happened. Last year, they'd loaned my brother $50,000 for his house down payment. No questions asked. 2 days later, through Facebook, I saw their photos. Not from any cruise. They were at home, hosting their book club, my mother smiling in the living room I'd grown up in. The caption, Lovely evening with friends. So blessed to have our health and happiness. My parents had looked at their granddaughter's cancer and chosen their comfort, but I still had one option left. One humiliating last resort option. I pulled up Robert's contact. My thumb hovered over the call button. 3 years since our divorce. 3 years since he'd seen the kids. But Emma was his daughter too. Maybe father's love would prove stronger than his spite. I was about to learn how wrong I could be. Robert answered on the fifth ring. Background noise, restaurant sounds, laughter, clinking glasses. Carla? This better be important. Emma has leukemia. The background noise continued. He hadn't moved, hadn't stepped away from his dinner. I see. And? And? Robert, she's your daughter. She needs treatment. I need financial help. His laugh was short, ugly. You're calling me for money? That's rich. The treatment costs. Not my problem. You wanted the divorce, remember? You wanted to be independent. This isn't about us. It's about Emma. Emma, who I haven't seen in 3 years because you poisoned her against me? That was a lie. He'd chosen his new family, his new wife, his new life. But I didn't have energy to fight old battles. Robert, please, just help with medical bills. I'm not asking for myself. You're just a poor writer, Carla. Figure it out. That's what independent women do, right? She could die. We all die eventually. Ice clinked in a glass. Look, I have a company worth $8 million. I have responsibilities. Real responsibilities. Not sob stories from ex-wives who can't manage their lives. 20,000, that's all I need. 20,000? Another laugh. Do you know what 20,000 means to someone like me? Nothing. But to someone like you? Everything. Maybe you should have thought about that before you became a writer. He said the word like it tasted bad. She's your daughter, I whispered. Legally, sure. But I have a new family now. A better family. Deal with it yourself. He hung up. I sat in my dark kitchen, Emma sleeping upstairs, unaware that her father had just written her off like a bad investment. Both my parents and her father had abandoned her. We were alone. Monday morning, Emma started chemo. By Monday afternoon, the bills started arriving. First consultation, $3,200. Initial treatment, $8,500. Hospital room, $2,100 per day. Medications not covered by insurance, $890. Lab work, $200. The numbers blurred together. Each envelope another weight on my chest. I'd already maxed out the home equity line of credit last year for the roof repair. Credit cards were ghosts of possibilities. The bank loan officer, kind enough to meet me between hospital visits, looked at my freelance income and shook her head. I'm sorry, Mrs. Mitchell. Without a co-signer or collateral, I sold everything that wasn't nailed down. My grandmother's jewelry, $1,800. The laptop I needed for work, $400. My car, replaced with a 15-year-old Honda that barely started, $3,000 difference. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Lily and Noah stayed with Mrs. Chen next door while I lived at the hospital. Lily's dance classes stopped. Noah's soccer registration went unpaid. Their confusion hurt almost as much as Emma's pain. Why can't we see Emma? Noah asked during our rushed dinner of dollar menu items. She's very sick, baby. The hospital has rules. Why don't Grandma and Grandpa help? Lily, too smart for 8, too observant for her own good. What could I say? That their grandparents valued a fictional cruise over their lives? That their father had millions but wouldn't spare thousands? Thursday brought the worst news. Emma needed surgery to insert a central line. The surgery scheduler's words were apologetic but firm. We need 10,000 up front. Hospital policy. 10,000 I didn't have. 10,000 that meant the difference between the best treatment and whatever charity care might provide. I signed the papers for the payment plan I couldn't afford. Emma would get her surgery. Everything else could wait. 3 a.m. in the pediatric cancer ward sounds like despair. Machines beeping. A child crying somewhere. The squeak of nurses' shoes on linoleum. Emma slept fitfully, her face puffy from steroids, her beautiful hair already starting to fall out in patches. I held her hand, careful of the IV lines, and watched her breathe. Alone. We were completely alone. Other rooms had families. Grandparents spelling exhausted parents, aunts bringing coffee, uncles making silly faces through doorways. Emma's room had me, and whatever nurse was on shift. My phone showed 17 unread work emails. 3 clients had already fired me for missing deadlines. The fourth was patient, but wouldn't be forever. Income dying while bills multiplied. Mom? Emma's voice, rough from the tube they'd put down her throat during surgery. I'm here, baby. Why don't Grandma and Grandpa visit? My throat closed. They're busy. Too busy for me? Even through the medication fog, she understood. Kids always do. That's not... Emma, some people don't know how to handle hard things. But we're family. I know, sweetheart. She was quiet for a moment. Then, Mom, do you know about Grandma Whitmore? My blood chilled. What? Who told you that name? But Emma had drifted back to sleep, leaving me with a ghost's name on her lips. Eleanor Whitmore, my grandmother. Dead 2 years now, according to the letter I'd found in Mom's desk years ago. The grandmother my parents said had abandoned the family. The grandmother they'd forbidden us from mentioning. Why would Emma know that name? Mrs. Chen texted at 5 a.m. Kids are fine. Lily had nightmare. Told her Emma would be okay. Was I wrong? I didn't know how to answer. I didn't know anything anymore. Dr. Harrison called the meeting for Tuesday, 2 weeks into treatment. The conference room felt too bright, too clean for the conversation about to happen. Emma isn't responding to the standard protocol as we'd hoped. The words hit like physical blows, not responding, as we'd hoped. There are 2 options, he continued, sliding papers across the table. We can continue with an aggressive experimental treatment. It's shown promising results, but... It's not covered by your insurance. The pharmaceutical company requires upfront payment, roughly $60,000 for the full course. $60,000? Might as well have been $6 million. What's option 2? Standard intensified chemotherapy, covered mostly by insurance, but success rates are... He paused. Lower, significantly lower. How much lower? 30% versus 70% with the experimental protocol. 30% chance my daughter lives, because I couldn't afford better. How long do I have to decide? 24 hours. We need to adjust treatment immediately. That night, I sat beside Emma's bed with consent forms for the cheaper treatment. My signature would potentially sign her death warrant, but poverty had made the choice for us. Emma was writing in a notebook, her handwriting shaky but determined. What are you writing, sweetheart? Letters, just in case. Emma, it's okay, Mom. I know you're doing your best. She looked up, 12 years old with ancient eyes. I'm writing to everyone, even people you don't know about. What people? But the nurse came in for blood draws, and the moment passed. I signed the forms at midnight. Standard treatment, 30%. I threw up in the bathroom afterward, then returned to hold my daughter's hand. Somewhere in the night, Emma whispered, "She would have helped us." Who, baby? But she was already asleep, secrets on her lips. Mom called Thursday morning, not to check on Emma, she hadn't asked once, but to complain. Carla, your brother mentioned you've been telling people we're not helping. That's very unfair. You're not helping. We have our own lives. You can't expect us to drop everything. I expected you to care that your granddaughter is dying. You're being dramatic again. Her chance of survival is 30%, Mom. Silence. Then, well, that's still good odds. Good odds? She's 12. Dad's voice in the background. Tell her to stop calling. We're not a bank. Mom, I'm not asking for money. Just watch Lily and Noah. Just a few days. We can't. Your father's back is acting up. His back. Emma has cancer, and you're worried about Dad's back? Don't take that tone with me. You chose this life, Carla. You chose to divorce Robert, to be a writer, to… To what? To have a child with cancer? To be unprepared. We raised you better. You raised me to believe family helps family. Family doesn't mean enabling poor choices. What poor choice? Emma's cancer. Your lifestyle. Single mother, unstable career, and now you want us to sacrifice our retirement years? Retirement? You're 65 and healthy. Don't guilt trip us, Carla. It's manipulative. I hung up. Actually hung up on my mother. 5 minutes later, a text from Dad. Your mother is very upset. This behavior is why we keep our distance. Don't contact us until you can be rational. Rational. My daughter was dying and they wanted rational. Emma watched from her bed. They're not coming, are they? No, baby, they're not. That's okay, she said, returning to her letters. The people who matter will. Robert arrived Friday evening, no warning. I was reading to Emma when he walked in, designer suit and cologne contaminating the antiseptic air. Robert? I stood, instinctively moving between him and Emma. Carla. He didn't look at Emma. Not once. We need to talk. Privately. His wife Monica waited in the doorway. Blonde, 20s, visibly pregnant. She avoided eye contact. Whatever you need to say. Hallway. Now. Emma squeezed my hand. It's okay, Mom. I'll be fine. In the hallway, Robert produced documents from his briefcase. I need you to sign these. What are they? Termination of parental rights. I'm relinquishing all claims to Emma, Lily, and Noah. The words didn't compute. You're abandoning them? Legally? It's cleaner this way. Monica's pregnant. We're starting fresh. Emma is dying, Robert. Which is why this needs to happen now. Before… complications. Complications? You mean before she dies and you might feel guilty? I mean before medical decisions become complex. Sign here. What if she survives? You'll have no rights to see her. I haven't seen her in 3 years. Nothing changes. And if I don't sign? His smile was cold. Then I file for custody. Prove you're unfit, poor, unable to provide proper medical care. I'll win, Carla. You know I will. You take dying children from their mother? I'd take them long enough to make you sign. Your choice. Monica shifted uncomfortably. Robert, maybe… Quiet. He didn't even look at her. I signed. Each signature another nail in the coffin of what our family had been. Smart choice, Robert said, tucking papers away. Oh, and Carla? Don't contact me when she dies. We won't be attending any funeral. They left. Emma never asked why Daddy didn't say hello. She already knew. If you're still watching, thank you for staying with me through this difficult part of my story. I know it's hard to hear about children suffering and families failing each other. Have you ever felt completely abandoned by those who should love you most? Please share your thoughts in the comments. It helps to know we're not alone. And if this story resonates with you, please consider subscribing. The revelation coming next changed everything I thought I knew about my family. The experimental treatment we couldn't afford would have given us months. The standard treatment gave us weeks. Emma knew. Children always know, no matter how we try to protect them. Mom, she said one gray Tuesday, I need to tell you about the letters. What letters, sweetheart? The ones I've been writing and receiving. She pulled a worn envelope from under her pillow. The return address made no sense. E. Whitmore, Salem, Massachusetts. Emma, where did you get this? She wrote to me. Grandma Whitmore, your real grandmother. That's impossible. She's dead. I know. She died 2 years ago. But she wrote to me before that. My hand shook holding the envelope. How did she know about you? She knew about all of us. She watched from far away. She said… Emma coughed, weak but determined. She said Grandma and Grandpa kept her away, said she was crazy. But she wasn't, Mom. She loved us. Emma, how long have you been writing to her? Since I was 10. She found me through my school's website, the essay I wrote about family. 2 years. Secret letters between my dying daughter and a grandmother I'd been told abandoned us. She said she tried to contact you, but they always stopped her. So she wrote to me instead, told me to give you these when the time was right. Emma handed me 3 more envelopes, one addressed to me, one to the estate lawyer, one to the family. When is the right time, Emma? After, she said simply. She said you'd understand after. After what? Emma smiled, wise and tired. After you learn what real family means. That night, she slipped into a coma. 3 days later, my brave, beautiful daughter died holding my hand, her secrets still sealed in envelopes. I found the photo in Emma's notebook the day after she passed. An elderly woman with Emma's eyes and my stubborn chin, standing in front of a Victorian mansion. On the back, in shaky handwriting. Your real inheritance isn't money, dear one. It's truth. Eleanor Whitmore, my grandmother who supposedly abandoned the family when Mom was 20. Except the photo was dated last year. The notebook held more. Printed emails. Emma had created a secret account to write to her. Page after page of correspondence I'd known nothing about. Dear Great-Grandma, one began. Mom is so tired. She cries when she thinks I'm sleeping. I wish you could help us. The response? My darling Emma, I am helping in the only way they cannot stop. Be patient. Justice comes to those who wait. What justice? What help? I turned the page and found a business card tucked between sheets. James Crawford, estate attorney. The same name on one of the sealed envelopes. The final email, dated a month before Emma's diagnosis, chilled me. Emma, if something happens to you or your mother, Mr. Crawford will find you. I've made sure of it. Your grandfather and Robert have taken enough. No more. Robert? How did she know about Robert? Mom. Lily stood in the doorway. There's someone at the door, Isa. I wasn't ready for visitors. Wasn't ready for condolences or casseroles or pity. But the man at the door wasn't carrying food. James Crawford stood on my porch in a black suit, briefcase in hand, looking exactly like his business card photo. Mrs. Mitchell, I'm sorry for your loss. Emma was a remarkable young lady. You knew Emma? We corresponded. May I come in? There are matters we need to discuss. What matters? Your inheritance, and why your family has been hiding it. Before Crawford could explain, my phone rang. Unknown number. I should take this, I said, desperate for any delay to process what was happening. Mrs. Mitchell? A woman's voice, elderly but strong. My name is Dorothy Chen. I was your grandmother Eleanor's nurse. My legs weakened. I sat hard on the couch. I'm calling about Emma's letter. What letter? The one she sent to the nursing home last month, asking about her great-grandmother's final wishes. Last month, when Emma was barely able to hold a pen. I don't understand. Your daughter was quite persistent. She wanted to know if Mrs. Whitmore had left anything for you. I told her about the will. What will? The one your parents have been contesting for 2 years, the one leaving everything to you. The room spun. Crawford watched me carefully. My parents said she was dead. She is. 2 years now, but they've been fighting the estate since the day she died. Fighting for what? $4.5 million, properties in 3 states, and answers about why they cut her off 40 years ago. They said she abandoned us. Dorothy's laugh was bitter. Is that what they told you? Dear, your grandmother never abandoned anyone. They locked her out when she refused to give them money for your father's failed business schemes. But Robert, your ex-husband? Oh, he knows. He tried to get power of attorney over Mrs. Whitmore 3 years ago. She recorded everything. I looked at Crawford. He nodded. Why didn't anyone tell me? Your parents threatened legal action against anyone who contacted you. But Emma found a way around them. How? A 12-year-old writing to her sick great-grandma? No court would stop that. Emma. My brilliant, brave Emma had been fighting for us all along. The last time Emma spoke to me was an hour before she died. I'd been reading her favorite book when her eyes opened, suddenly clear despite the morphine. "Mom, I'm here, baby. The letters. Give them to Mr. Crawford." "What letters, sweetheart?" "In my unicorn box, under my bed at home." Her voice was whisper thin but determined. "Tell them the truth." "Tell who?" "Everyone. At the reading." "What reading?" "Grandma W's will. They have to come. It's the law." How did my 12-year-old know about estate law? "Emma, how do you—" "She taught me. In the letters. Said you'd need proof." "Proof of what?" "That they knew. That they all knew and lied." Her breathing grew labored. The machines began alarming. "Emma, save your strength. Promise me." Her grip tightened with surprising strength. "Promise you'll live. For Lily. For Noah." "Emma. Promise." "I promise," she smiled. "Grandma W said you were the strongest of all of us. Said you just didn't know it yet." "When did she say that?" "In the video." "What video?" But Emma's eyes had closed. The nurse rushed in, pushing me aside. An hour later, she was gone. I kept my promise. Barely. The pills were in my hand that night when Lily crawled into my lap. "Emma said you'd be sad," she whispered. "But she said to tell you to check the unicorn box." The unicorn box. Pink and glittery and so perfectly Emma. Inside were 30 letters, a USB drive labeled Truth, and a note in Emma's handwriting. "Mom, you were never alone. Grandma W made sure. Now it's time everyone knew what they did. Be brave. Love, Emma." 1 week later, James Crawford knocked on my door. Emma's funeral was on a Thursday, overcast, like the sky was mourning too. 20 people came: Mrs. Chen, 3 of Emma's teachers, some classmates with their parents, a few neighbors, not my parents. They sent grocery store flowers with a generic card, with sympathy. Not Robert. He sent nothing. I stood at the podium looking at my daughter's casket, white with purple ribbons, her favorite color, and couldn't speak. Lily and Noah clung to my dress, their faces confused and broken. "She was 12, I finally managed. 12 and braver than all of us." That's when I noticed him. James Crawford, sitting in the back row, briefcase at his feet. After the service, as people offered empty condolences, he approached. "Beautiful service," he said. "Emma would have been proud." "You didn't know Emma." "Actually, I did. We exchanged 17 emails over 2 years." "About what?" "About justice, about family, about making sure you and your siblings got what was rightfully yours." "I don't have any siblings." "Half-siblings. Your mother's first children, the ones she had before your father, the ones who were also cut off when they sided with Eleanor." Another secret. Another lie. "There's going to be a reading," Crawford continued, "of Eleanor's will. Your parents have been summoned. So has Robert." "Why Robert?" "Because he's named in the will. Or rather, his crimes are." "Crimes?" "Fraud, attempted elder abuse, forging your signature on loan documents using your grandmother's assets as collateral." People were starting to stare. The funeral director hovering, wanting us to leave. "When?" "Next week, Thursday, 2 p.m., my office." He handed me his card. Downtown address, top floor. "Everyone will be there," he said. "And everyone will finally hear the truth." He left, and I stood there holding my children, wondering what other secrets Emma had taken to her grave. That night, I almost broke my promise to Emma. Lily and Noah were asleep. The house echoed with absence. Emma's chair at dinner, her backpack by the door, her laughter nowhere. The bottle of sleeping pills sat on my nightstand, prescribed for the long hospital nights. Enough for permanent sleep. I wrote letters. One for Lily, one for Noah, one for Mrs. Chen, asking her to take them. The pills were in my palm when Noah appeared in the doorway, Emma's stuffed elephant clutched to his chest. Mommy? I closed my fist. What's wrong, baby? Can't sleep. Emma's not singing. Emma always sang him to sleep when I worked late, made up songs about brave knights and kind dragons. Come here. He crawled into my lap, so small, so fragile. Mommy, are you going to heaven too? The pills cut into my palm. Why would you ask that? You look like Emma did, when she knew, 6 years old and already familiar with death's face. No, baby, I'm staying right here. Promise? Another promise. I set the pills on the nightstand. I promise. Lily appeared then, drawn by voices. Mom? I had the dream again. What dream, sweetheart? Emma was there. She said to tell you, Thursday will fix everything. What's Thursday? The will reading. Even from beyond, Emma was fighting for us. I flushed the pills that night, put the letters in Emma's unicorn box, held my living children, and cried for the one I'd lost. Sunday came, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday morning, James Crawford called. 2 p.m., don't be late. Your parents just confirmed they're coming. How did you make them come? I didn't. The probate court did. Amazing what happens when you mention fraud and elder abuse. Thursday, the day Emma promised would fix everything. Thursday came, but first, Wednesday night brought the knock. 9 p.m. Lily and Noah were asleep. I was sorting Emma's things, unable to pack them but needing to touch what she'd touched. The knock was soft, hesitant. James Crawford stood there again, but this time he wasn't alone. A woman in her 60s stood beside him, familiar in a way that made my chest tight. Carla? I'm Susan, your half-sister. The world tilted. She had Mom's nose, my eyes. I don't understand. I know. Margaret, your mother, was 19 when she had me, 21 when she had David. Our father was her first husband. When he died, she met your father and pretended we never existed. But why? Because we reminded her of being poor, of struggling. Your father offered her a new life, but only if she came without baggage. So she left us with Eleanor, your grandmother, and never looked back. 40 years of lies unraveling in my doorway. Eleanor raised us, Susan continued, loved us. When we turned 18, your mother had already poisoned your father against us, said we were Eleanor's manipulation, gold diggers, liars. Why didn't you contact me? We tried. Every letter returned, every call blocked. Your parents threatened restraining orders. Crawford interrupted. Emma found them through ancestry websites and social media. She reached out 6 months ago. 6 months, when she first got sick. She knew she was dying, Susan said. She wanted to make sure you weren't alone after. There's more, Crawford said. The will reading tomorrow. Your parents don't know about the video. What video? Eleanor recorded everything, every conversation with your parents, every threat, every lie, and Robert's attempt to steal from her. It's all admissible, Susan added. Criminal evidence. Tomorrow. Everything changes tomorrow. Crawford's office occupied the entire 15th floor of the Meridian building. Floor-to-ceiling windows, mahogany everything, the kind of place that whispered old money and older secrets. Your grandmother built this building, Crawford said, leading me to the conference room. One of 7 she owned. 7 buildings, while I'd been selling family jewelry for groceries. The conference room was already occupied. Mom and Dad sat at one end, rigid with indignation. Robert lounged at the other, his lawyer beside him. 3 people I didn't recognize sat along the wall. Witnesses, Crawford explained. Court appointed. Finally, Mom snapped when she saw me. This nonsense can end. Hello to you too, Mom. Don't be smart. We know this is some scam. Mother had nothing. She died in a state facility. Actually, Crawford interjected, she died in the luxury wing of Salisbury Manor, the wing she donated funds to build. Mom's face paled. Robert checked his Rolex. Can we hurry this up? I have actual business to attend to. Of course. Crawford opened his briefcase. Let's discuss why you're really here, Mr. Mitchell. The forged documents, the fraudulent loan applications using Eleanor Whitmore's assets as collateral. That's slander. That's fact. We have video. The room went silent. Crawford pulled out a tablet. Before we read the will, Eleanor wanted you all to see something. The screen came alive. Eleanor Whitmore, thin but regal, staring directly at the camera. If you're watching this, she said, then I'm dead, and you're all finally forced to sit in one room. Mom gasped. Turn it off. Oh, Margaret, Eleanor's recorded voice continued, still trying to control everything? Let me tell you all a story about greed, abandonment, and why Carla deserves every penny I'm leaving her. Can you believe it? My own parents hid my grandmother from me because they couldn't manipulate her money, and my ex-husband knew all along. If you've ever discovered a family secret that changed everything, please share in the comments. Your stories give me strength. Don't forget to like this video if you want to hear how the will reading went down. Trust me, their faces were unforgettable. The video continued. Eleanor's voice filled the room like Judgment Day. 40 years ago, Margaret chose money over her children. She abandoned Susan and David to marry Harold Stevens, who demanded she come unencumbered. Dad's face went purple. This is lies. Is it? Eleanor's video seemed to respond. I have the letters, Harold. The ones where you called my grandchildren bastard baggage and threatened to leave Margaret if she didn't cut them off. Mom was shaking. Mother, please. But Eleanor wasn't done. 3 years ago, Robert Mitchell approached me, claimed Carla had given him power of attorney, wanted access to my accounts for investment opportunities. Robert stood. I'm not listening to this. Sit down, Crawford commanded. Court order. You leave, you forfeit any right to contest. Robert sat. I recorded everything, Eleanor continued. Robert forging documents, Margaret and Harold taking loans in my name, the threats when I refused to pay. She paused, seemed to look right at me through time. But then Emma wrote to me, 12 years old, asking nothing for herself, only wondering if I could help her mother. She sent me stories she'd written, photos of her siblings, updates on Carla's struggles. That child showed more love in one letter than my own daughter showed in 40 years. The room was tomb silent. So I changed my will, everything to Carla and her children, the buildings, the accounts, the investments, $4.5 million. Mom exploded. You can't! I'm your daughter! You were. Eleanor's voice turned cold. Until you sold your own children for a comfortable life. Carla didn't know I existed because you told her I was dead. But I watched. I saw her choose her children over everything, even over her own life. The video ended. Crawford opened the will. This is illegal! Mom shot to her feet. I'll contest this. On what grounds? Crawford asked calmly. Eleanor was evaluated by 3 psychiatrists. All confirmed she was of sound mind. She was manipulated by Emma? A dying 12-year-old manipulated a millionaire? Crawford's eyebrow raised. That's your argument? Robert's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Robert's face went from red to white. About the fraud allegations, the lawyer began, are documented extensively. Crawford produced a folder 2 inches thick. Forged signatures, falsified loan documents, elder abuse. The FBI has copies. FBI? Robert's voice cracked. Financial Crimes Division. They're very interested in your creative accounting. Dad pointed at me. You orchestrated this. You poisoned Mother against us. I didn't know she was alive until last week. Liar! Susan stood from where she'd been sitting quietly. She's not lying. You are. You've been lying for 40 years. Mom spun. You're behind this. No, Margaret. Your own greed is behind this. You abandoned us for Harold's money. Now karma's come calling. I'm your mother. No, Eleanor was my mother. You were just the woman who gave birth to me. The witnesses were scribbling notes. The court reporter's fingers flew across her keys. The will is clear, Crawford continued. Carla Mitchell receives everything. The 7 buildings, the investment accounts, the bonds. Estimated value, $4.5 million. And Robert? His lawyer asked. Robert is specifically excluded. In fact, Crawford smiled. There's a clause. If Robert contests or interferes, evidence of his fraud goes directly to his business partners. Robert's phone buzzed. He looked at it and went gray. What? His lawyer asked. 3 clients just pulled contracts. Someone leaked the fraud investigation. That would be the Wall Street Journal, Crawford said. They were very interested in the story. Crawford read the will formally, each word a nail in my family's coffin. I, Eleanor Marie Whitmore, being of sound mind and body, do hereby bequeath the entirety of my estate to my granddaughter, Carla Ann Mitchell, and her children, Emma Grace Mitchell, Lily Rose Mitchell, and Noah James Mitchell. He continued through the assets. 7 commercial buildings generating $80,000 monthly in rent. Investment accounts worth $2 million. Bonds and securities. A house in Salem I'd never seen. To Margaret Stevens, my daughter, I leave $1 and this message. You chose money over love. Now live with that choice. Mom sobbed. Real tears or performance, I couldn't tell. To Harold Stevens, I leave another $1 and this reminder. You destroyed a family for comfort. May it never comfort you again. Dad's fists clenched. To Robert Mitchell, I leave nothing but consequences. The evidence of your fraud has been provided to appropriate authorities. Robert was texting frantically. His lawyer had stopped trying to help. Additionally, Crawford continued, a trust has been established for Lily and Noah Mitchell, accessible when they turn 18. For Emma Mitchell, he paused. The room held its breath. For Emma Mitchell, who brought light to my final years through her letters, a pediatric cancer wing will be built in her name at Massachusetts General, the Emma Mitchell Center for Hope. I broke, sobbed for my daughter who'd saved us even while dying. There's one final provision, Crawford said. Margaret and Harold Stevens are barred from any contact with Carla's children. Any attempt will result in criminal prosecution for harassment. You can't keep me from my grandchildren, Mom wailed. You kept yourself from them, I said quietly, when you refused to help while Emma was dying. The truth hung in the air like a blade. Now about the fraud, Crawford said, turning to Robert. He clicked his tablet. The wall screen lit up with emails. 3 years ago, Mr. Mitchell contacted Eleanor claiming Carla had signed power of attorney. Here's the document. My signature, but not my handwriting. He used this to attempt accessing Eleanor's accounts. When that failed, he tried another approach. More documents, loan applications, investment contracts, all with Eleanor's forged signature. Mrs. Whitmore was thorough. She hired a private investigator, recorded phone calls, documented everything. A recording played. Robert's voice. The old woman won't last long. Once I get access, Carla never needs to know. She's too stupid to check anyway. My stomach turned. Even now, knowing his cruelty, it hurt. Mr. Mitchell used these forged documents to secure a $3 million loan for his company, claiming Eleanor as guarantor. Robert's lawyer stood. We're leaving. You leave. The FBI gets everything immediately, Crawford warned. Stay and we discuss a deal. They sat. Eleanor knew about the fraud for 2 years. She could have prosecuted then. Instead, she waited. Why? Robert demanded. Crawford smiled. She wanted Carla to be here when you fell, wanted her to see justice served. He produced more papers. Your 3 biggest clients have been notified. The contracts worth $10 million? Gone. Your reputation? Destroyed. The FBI investigation? Just beginning. Robert's phone buzzed constantly. Each text another contract canceling, another partner withdrawing. But here's Eleanor's final gift to Carla, Crawford said. Emma's medical bills, the ones you refused to help with? Eleanor's estate is suing you for parental abandonment, criminal neglect. You owe $300,000 in back child support and medical expenses. I signed away rights after she died. Doesn't void prior obligations. Robert looked at me, desperate. Carla, please, don't, I said. Just don't. There's one more thing, Crawford said, pulling out a sealed envelope. From Emma. My hands shook, taking it. Emma's handwriting. To be read at the will reading. She gave this to Eleanor's nurse 2 weeks before she died, Crawford explained. I opened it. Emma's voice seemed to fill the room through her words. Dear everyone, I know I won't be there when this is read. That's okay. I had time to say what mattered. Mom, you never knew about Great-Grandma because they hid her from you. Just like they hid their love, their help, their hearts. But I found her. We wrote for 2 years. She told me everything. Grandma Margaret and Grandpa Harold, you chose money over family. You had 40 years to change. You didn't. When I was dying, you went on vacation. I forgive you, but Mom shouldn't. Some things are unforgivable. Robert, I can't call you Dad. You signed me away like a bad check. You have new children now. I hope you love them better than you loved us, but I doubt it. Love isn't in your vocabulary, only money. Great-Grandma Eleanor, thank you. You gave Mom what she deserved, not just money, but truth. You gave her proof that she was always worthy of love, just born to the wrong people. Mom, you're reading this in a room full of people who failed us. Look at them. Really look. These are the people who chose themselves over a dying child. Now choose yourself over them. The money isn't your inheritance. Freedom is. Freedom from begging people who don't love you. Freedom from apologizing for existing. Freedom from toxic family disguised as blood. Use it well. Live fully. Love Lily and Noah enough for both of us. All my love. Emma. The room was silent except for Mom's sobs, real ones this time. 3 months later, Robert's empire crumbled completely. The FBI investigation revealed more than fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion, money laundering. His investors fled. His board voted him out. The man worth $8 million was worth -$3 million within weeks. Monica, his pregnant wife, filed for divorce the day his assets were frozen. Turned out she'd been recording him too. Insurance, she called it. She got the house, the cars, what little remained. Karma, Susan said when she called to tell me. Eleanor would have loved this. The criminal trial started in month 4. Robert in an orange jumpsuit instead of Armani. The prosecutor used Emma's death as evidence of his character, abandoning a dying child while stealing from her great-grandmother. 27 counts of fraud. Guilty on all. 10 years minimum, Crawford told me after the verdict. More likely 15. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication. Just empty. But Lily and Noah needed their mother present, not lost in revenge's aftermath. Robert's mother called once, begging me to speak at his sentencing. He's still the father of your children, she pleaded. He signed that right away, I reminded her, while Emma was dying. She hung up. The newspapers loved the story. Tech CEO's fraud exposed by dying child's letters. Grandmother's revenge from beyond the grave. The $4 million secret. I refused all interviews. This wasn't entertainment. This was Emma's legacy. Robert wrote once from prison, a long, self-pitying letter about how unfair life was, how I'd ruined him, how Emma's death was karma for my vindictiveness. I burned it. Lily asked once if Daddy was ever coming back. No, sweetheart. He made choices that have consequences. Like when I hit Noah and got time out? Yes, but much bigger consequences for much bigger bad choices. She accepted that. Children understand justice better than adults. My parents tried everything to reconcile, not from love, from greed. First came the letters, apologies that weren't apologies. We're sorry you misunderstood our intentions. We regret the situation escalated. Never. We're sorry we abandoned you when Emma was dying. Then the flying monkeys. Their church friends calling to say how devastated they were, how family should forgive, how honor thy father and mother was God's commandment. So is suffer the little children to come unto me, I told one particularly persistent caller. They failed that one when they let Emma suffer alone. The calls stopped. Mom showed up once, 6 months after the will reading. I was gardening in the Salem house's backyard, Eleanor's house, now mine, when she appeared. Carla, please, I'm your mother. No, you're the woman who birthed me. Eleanor was more grandmother to my children through letters than you ever were in person. That's not fair. Fair? Was it fair when you went to Florida while Emma was dying? Was it fair when you said she was being dramatic? I didn't know. You knew. You just didn't care. She aged 10 years in that moment. I'm losing everything. The country club found out. Harold's business partners won't work with him. Even Pastor Williams suggested we find another church. Good. How can you be so cruel? I learned from the best, Mother. She left. Dad tried once, showing up at Noah's school. The restraining order Crawford filed stopped that immediately. My brother, the one who got their help, called once. You've destroyed the family, he accused. No, I said. I survived despite the family. He hung up. We haven't spoken since. Sometimes the price of peace is letting toxic people hate you from a distance. We moved to Salem in September, into Eleanor's Victorian mansion. 7 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a library Emma would have loved. Her room, I made it exactly as she'd described in her letters to Eleanor. Purple walls, constellation ceiling, window seat overlooking the garden. A shrine? Maybe. But also a promise kept. Lily and Noah thrived. New school without the whispers of the poor kids whose sister died. They made friends, joined clubs, smiled again. I started the Emma Mitchell Foundation with $1 million, covering medical expenses for families with childhood cancer, paying for parents to stay with sick children, everything I'd needed and couldn't afford. 50 families in the first year. Each one got a letter explaining Emma's story, how a 12-year-old's courage changed everything. The publishing company came next. Mitchell Press, specializing in children's books about resilience. The first release was Emma's own, the stories she'd written during treatment. Tales from Room 247 sold 30,000 copies in 3 months. All profits went to the foundation. Susan became family, real family. Sunday dinners, holiday celebrations, the aunt my children needed. She told them stories about Eleanor, about the grandmother who'd loved from afar. She kept every article about your mom, Susan told them. Every story she published, every photo she could find online. She had a whole room of Carla memories. We found that room. Boxes of clippings, printed emails I'd sent to publications, photos downloaded from social media. 40 years of distant love. David, my half-brother, visited for Thanksgiving. Quiet man, architect, kind eyes. I always wondered about you, he said. The sister we weren't allowed to know. Now you know, I said. Now I know. And I'm proud to be your brother. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose to stay. A year later, I sat in my therapist's office, finally processing everything. You've built remarkable boundaries, Dr. Martinez observed. Many people can't cut off toxic family. Emma made it easy, I admitted. Her letter gave me permission. Permission? To stop begging for love from people incapable of giving it. To stop apologizing for existing. To stop setting myself on fire to keep others warm. And now? Now I know. DNA doesn't make someone family. Love does. Loyalty does. Showing up does. Your parents never showed up. No. But Eleanor did, even from a distance. Susan did, despite being hidden. Even Emma's teachers showed up more than my blood family. Any regrets? Only one, that Emma didn't live to see it, to see justice served, to see us free. She knew it would happen. The letters prove that. True. Emma had orchestrated our salvation while dying, 12 years old and wiser than all of us. The boundaries you've set, they're teaching Lily and Noah something valuable, Dr. Martinez said. What's that? That they deserve respect. That love isn't supposed to hurt. That walking away from toxic people isn't giving up, it's growing up. The session ended, but the lesson remained. That evening, Lily asked, Mom, why don't we see Grandma and Grandpa? Because they made choices that hurt us. And when people hurt you and won't stop, you're allowed to stay away from them. Even family? Especially family. Family should be the safest place, not the most dangerous. Is that why Emma wrote those letters? To keep us safe? Yes, baby. Emma made sure we'd be safe even after she was gone. She was the best big sister. Yes, she was. Boundaries aren't walls keeping love out. They're fences keeping harm away. The Emma Mitchell Center for Hope opened 2 years after her death. Massachusetts General gave us the entire 5th floor of the new pediatric wing. 30 beds, family suites so parents could stay, a library, play areas, and meditation rooms. Everything designed to make the unbearable bearable. The dedication ceremony drew hundreds. Families we'd helped, doctors who'd treated Emma, even reporters who'd covered Robert's trial. I stood at the podium looking at Emma's portrait, the one where she's laughing, bald from chemo but radiant, and spoke her truth. Emma believed love was stronger than blood. That chosen family could heal what birth family broke. She proved it by connecting with a great-grandmother she'd never met, siblings hidden from us, and strangers who became supporters. Lily and Noah sat in the front row. Lily, now 10, had Emma's determination. Noah, 8, had her kindness. This center is Emma's love made tangible. Every child treated here, every parent who doesn't have to choose between work and staying bedside, every family that doesn't go bankrupt fighting cancer, that's Emma's legacy. We'd published 3 of Emma's books by then. The Girl Who Wrote to Heaven sold internationally. A movie studio wanted the rights, more money for more families. Emma wrote in her final letter that money wasn't the inheritance, freedom was. Freedom from toxic people, freedom from systems that fail the vulnerable, freedom to choose love over blood. Susan spoke next, then David. Even Dorothy Chen, Eleanor's nurse, shared memories. But the moment that broke me was when a mother approached after, her daughter, bald and thin but smiling, holding Emma's book. "We're here because of your foundation," she said. "My daughter sleeps with Emma's book, says Emma talks to her in dreams, tells her to be brave. Emma's love still saving lives. That's immortality." That brings us to today. 6 months since the center opened. 3 years since Emma left us. A lifetime since I believed family meant blood. I still live in Eleanor's house, our house now. The walls hold photos of our real family. Emma, Lily, Noah, Susan, David, Mrs. Chen, the nurses who loved Emma, the families we've helped. Not one photo of my parents or Robert. Some people think I'm cruel for maintaining those boundaries. They don't understand that cruelty was watching my daughter die while family counted their money. Cruelty was, "You're just a poor writer, deal with it." Cruelty was choosing a cruise over a dying grandchild. What I did, cutting them off, that's not cruelty. That's survival. Lily asked me recently if I ever miss them. I miss who I thought they were, I told her. But you can't miss people who never really existed. Do you think they miss us? They miss what we could have done for them. That's not the same as missing us. She understood. Both my living children do. They've learned that love isn't supposed to come with conditions, that help shouldn't require begging, that family shows up when you need them, not just when they need you. Emma knew all this at 12. It took me 38 years to learn it. Your story might be different. Your toxic family might be salvageable. But if you're reading this thinking, but their family, remember, family doesn't let children die alone. Family doesn't profit from your pain. Family doesn't require you to shrink so they can feel tall. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let toxic people go. even if they're family, especially if they're family, because you deserve better. Your children deserve better. Emma knew that. Now you do too. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. If my story helped you realize you deserve better from family, please let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to cut off toxic family members? How did you find peace? Your experiences help others know they're not alone. Please like and subscribe if this resonated with you. And remember, sometimes the family we choose is stronger than the family we're born into. Share this with someone who needs to hear that blood doesn't give anyone the right to destroy you.